Are you ready?
Good news, everyone!
I'm the surprise in your cereal box. I'm
great! Everybody else sucks!
I said, are you ready?
Yes, sir, random kid I just met.
It's Ciely.
Hooray! People are paying attention to me.
That's right! You're always blaming me!
so my reputation exceeds me.
It's time to check the link.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
You know what? You just made the list.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
What is up, you ducks? It's all in football. Week 10 waivers. As the hurricane comes, is it hurricane now, Lauren? Headed towards you?
No, it is still subtropical storm Nicole.
Yeah,
she will be, or projected to be, a hurricane right before it hits my town.
Well,
Yay.
stay safe and pork chop sandwiches. COVID, because holy crap, I've got like a knife going through my eyeball. So
Oh no,
struggling
Jake,
to, like,
I'm
look
so
at this.
sorry.
That's okay.
You definitely
Hey,
a
look.
little squinty, you know.
It's I'm gonna lay down after this. I'll just say that.
Good,
know what?
you should.
I got a flu. I'll be all right. But we're gonna hopefully get you and make sure you're all right for week 10. Yeah, we are week 10 in the season. If you also need other help, NHL betting, whatever you might need, over at FTN, code all in, get you 20% off. And the waivers are up at The Athletic, and the ranks will be up at midnight, hopefully tonight at The Athletic. I don't know if I'll be able to get some fun rankings. Like the top 10 worst sicknesses to get. I don't know. Maybe like, is that Ebola still a thing?
It feels like it. It
remember
feels
Outbreak?
like it. Oh my god, I read those books. Those were the book. It was really good. Michael Crichton, I believe.
Was he behind Outbreak? I know he was behind Jurassic Park and The
Yeah,
Lost
I
World. And like
think he was.
Westworld,
You know what? Don't
before
quote
that
me.
got spun into something.
I think it was. I thought I had it in my bookshelf, but I do not. Sorry if it
Nothing
sounds
to
like a
look it up.
lawnmower. Because we have a hurricane coming, my animals are losing it, and my cat refuses to get off my chair. So we have a cat today.
Top 10 foods when you're sick. Yeah, jingles. That's what jingles. I call them jingles. All right, hopefully we get through this
Should be
show.
a fun show.
Semblance. Yeah. Let's talk. We touched on Jeff Wilson yesterday, Lauren, and this is how bad waivers are this week, as you texted. I was doing the show with Pat Mayo, which is why I didn't get back to your text. But yes,
That's
this
okay.
is not only because 6 teams were on a bye, there just wasn't a whole lot that happened, both performance and injury-wise, which I guess is a good thing for injuries, but there wasn't a lot this week outside. Jeff Wilson's the number 1 running back I have for waiver pickups.
Oh, yeah.
So let me ask you this. Unless Gus Edwards is out there, I still would take Gus Edwards over Jeff Wilson, even though I think Jeff Wilson is the lead to Mostert at some times. It might be some Mostert games, but as we touched on yesterday, kind of the Denver Broncos of 2021. So that's where I'm at with that, where I still believe and still say Gus Edwards after their bye, but you have to wait through the Baltimore Ravens bye if you're picking up Gus Edwards, is still going to be the lead because somebody's like, well, but Kenyon Drake looked good again. I was like, yeah, Kenyon Drake had 100 rushing yards, and then Gus Edwards in his first game back was the lead. So are you with me that you would take Gus Edwards over Jeff Wilson, or are you going with Jeff Wilson even at a 50 split?
I think I'm still going to go Jeff Wilson, only because of the injury questions I have with Gus Edwards. So I think I'll go Jeff Wilson. But I mean, that's literally all that is. And Kenyon Drake, as soon as Gus Edwards comes back, they ran Kenyon Drake into the ground. I mean, there was absolutely zero reason for him to continue. So I tried to move my microphone because my cat has a really loud purr, and I don't want it to sound like a lawnmower. So I tried to move it there. All right, here we go. And they ran him into the ground towards the end of the game when they didn't have to. I thought that was interesting. So, yeah, I think I'm going to take Jeff Wilson. Barely.
Yeah, I'd still go, like I said, I'd still going Gus Edwards because of the upside. I know Gus Edwards is top 15 any given week.
I see that too.
It's the 1 week from Jeff Wilson, I think, just shows the timeshare. But as we've seen from other timeshares, you might get the good week, you might get the bad week, you might get, if the entire offense is pass happy and very little in the run game, I think you might see more Mostert, and then Jeff Wilson all of a sudden got you 8 carries for 30 yards, and it's a bad week. By the way, Foxy told us Robin Cook wrote out.
Robin Cook, that's right. Thank you.
Way off. Weren't even
Way
close.
off.
Not even in the same stratosphere. So let's talk about the Buccaneers as a whole, because it's not just waivers. We need to go through. This is the Buccaneers segment of All in Football. So first of all, let's say one is Are you picking up Rachaad White if still out there? Rachaad White has been on waivers for weeks and still somebody who is getting more and more work, but it's more and more work of a disgusting backfield to say, how excited are you for Rachaad White, and how concerned, how many ducks are you giving Leonard Fournette with the way that he's been looking the past few weeks?
So if you would have asked me this question prior to, which you did, but I'm just going to redo this anyway. This, like I said, this is going to be a great show. I would have been super concerned for Leonard Fournette. I do firmly believe that Tom Brady is more back than he's not. That last final drive, I know it was just a few plays, but it was like, boom, they started clicking again. K. Dotton has become a thing. And I think with that chemistry that's starting to build, I think things will start to click. So I am still concerned for Leonard Fournette, not nearly as high as I was before. So I'm going to give Leonard Fournette 2 and an egg. I know that seems pretty low, but 2 and an egg. I still think that hanging on to Rachaad White is a good idea. I know that the yards have been yucky. It reminds me very much, except less crappy, than the Kansas City running back situation that we've been talking about. But there's something about the way that Rachaad White can get things done, but the rest of the pieces on offense have to start working. And I think that we just saw a glimpse that they are. So for the next few weeks, I think things will start turning around for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm at a full 4 for Leonard Fournette.
I don't blame you. I don't.
Well,
I don't.
It's the offensive line, and then looking at last year.
What offensive line?
Exactly. Looking at last year, what we knew about Fournette was the goal line opportunities. And there was only 5 games last year when Leonard Fournette didn't have a single goal-to-go opportunity. He's already got 5 such games this year. And of the 2+ attempts per game, he's only got 2. Last year, he had 5 games of those 2+. He actually had, I think, one game of 5 or 6 goal-to-go opportunities. So they're just not there, and that's why I'm at a 4 of this. I am grabbing Rachaad White, but not because I think Rachaad White is necessarily taking over. It's just waivers are that thin at this point. If Leonard Fournette gets hurt, that's my concern. So that's where I'm at with Leonard Fournette. So let's ask you this question then. How many ducks are you giving Tom Brady? More than 2 and an egg? Or because, for reference, do you know without looking, Lauren, how many games Tom Brady has with more than 1 passing touchdown?
Oh, no, I don't know off the top. How many games, total in his career?
No, this year. How many games
this year.
with more than... Yeah, what does that have to do with this year?
I don't know. You asked me, and you didn't put a specification on the time.
A specification?
I want to say 3.
1. He's only got one game with more than 1 passing touchdown. So where are you at with the concern of that offense, the offensive line, Tom Brady himself? Where are you at concern level with him?
I'm about 3. And again, this would have been 4 yesterday, 4 and an egg. Not yesterday, but 3 days ago, it would have been worse. But once I saw that last final drive, it's kind of like, okay, well, here we go again. All right.
But he did that the week before too. He had nothing until the end of the game.
It wasn't the same. It didn't have the same feel to it.
It was the same because it's the same crappy Tom Brady garbage time at this point. I'm at full 4 for both of them. I'm done. I would drop Tom Brady for a lot of quarterbacks at this point. I think the easy one, the obvious one, is Justin Fields is still out there in a lot of leagues. So
yes.
The swap. Would you, if you had to say rest of the season, you can only start one. So this isn't like, I'll play the matchups. This is just like you only want one quarterback on your team. Would you go Tua or Tom Brady? It's Tua, right?
Tua, yep.
Dak Prescott or Tom Brady?
Ooh, Dak Prescott.
Okay. Justin Herbert or Tom Brady with how that offense is. Yeah,
Justin Herbert.
Would you go? We said Fields. We know Josh Allen if healthy, which is now a thing. Lamar Jackson. We know Joe Burrow or Tom Brady. It's Burrow, right?
Yeah, that would be Burrow.
Jalen Hurts. I mean, we're you see where we're going here. It's like we're going to get Tom Brady outside the top 10 because Kyler Murray with DeAndre Hopkins is a big difference.
So when I say my concern level for Tom Brady, I'm not talking about in fantasy. I'm talking about for what he can do to the pieces around him in fantasy. Tom Brady should be dropped. He is not a startable quarterback for fantasy right now.
Well, then here, would you go Marcus Mariota or Tom Brady?
Marcus Mariota.
So,
that's where we're at right now. It's weird.
Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers?
Ew, neither. I'm not even dignifying that with an answer.
Why? It's a legitimate question people might have. How about this? Your feelings aside, because of course, if you don't want to, you don't want to. And
I'm going Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers, by the way.
Okay. But, respect, if you don't want to play with them, obviously you don't have to. People do the same play in fantasy baseball that didn't want to roster Aroldis Chapman. So the off the field situation aside, if Tom Brady is one of your two quarterbacks, because he's probably Aaron Rodgers is one of your two quarterbacks, are you dropping Rodgers and Brady to stash Deshaun Watson? We're only 3 weeks away.
No.
No,
and the reason why is because Deshaun Watson hasn't played football in like 2 years. He's on a brand new team. He just got back to the practice facility. He's just been able to sit in on meetings. Yeah, he could probably run, and that's the only thing he's really going to be able to do. But still, I think I would take Tom Brady there over Deshaun Watson, and it's because of the weapons around him as well. So Mike Evans is still a beast. There's been weirdness going on with his wide receivers. Chris Godwin still really hasn't gotten rolling in this either. Kate Otten is emerging. We still have Leonard Fournette. I know that, like we just talked about, that backfield has been kind of, grody, but the pieces are just better, which is why I'm going to take Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers, again, because of the pieces. And why I would take Tom Brady over Deshaun Watson, because it's the pieces around him. And Tom Brady has played football. I mean, I know he retired for shortly, but he didn't have to step away for like almost 2 years. So yeah, no, I don't trust Deshaun Watson this season whatsoever.
And see, I would on the upside alone, because Tom Brady at this point is replaceable for me. Go get Geno Smith at Tom Brady. Hell, Daniel Jones is better than Tom Brady right now.
Yeah, agreed. There's a lot of if it's just between Tom Brady and Deshaun Watson, I'm taking Tom Brady, but I would rather have a lot different quarterbacks. So there's a lot more opportunity there for, I think, safer floor options that do have the potential for upside depending on the matchup, that I would rather have over Tom Brady. So that's how low Deshaun Watson is. And this has nothing to do with the off the field stuff. Just because I'm a woman, that's not what it is at all. I do not have any faith in him. Now, do I think he's a talented quarterback? Yes, he absolutely is. Is he going to be probably a beast next season? Sure. But I just don't trust this as late in the season as he's coming back, not just for real football, but for fantasy. I'm not going to put any faith into Deshaun Watson. If you want to go for it, try it, swing for the fences. Because like you said, upside is there, but I would much rather have a safer floor quarterback when it comes to other pieces that I can surround my roster with that are the boom or bust options on a high upside.
With quarterbacks, I have no interest in floor. That's because I don't want QB 12. I couldn't give two craps about the floor. So that's how I play the quarterback position, because it's pure upside. They're all so replaceable to me. Hell, Trevor Lawrence at this point versus Tom Brady is a conversation, and I don't want either one of them. I just want to go for the ceiling on that one. So Deonta Foreman, I said, we're going to save this for today, because there's a worry concern here too with picking up Chuba Hubbard, who is now available in a lot more leagues than he was. The initial start, Chuba Hubbard was higher rostered than Deonta Foreman, and now with Hubbard getting hurt, Deonta Foreman looking great in those games. But the problem here is, what did I say last week, Lauren? It happened again. Deonta Foreman has his role. The Carolina Panthers, if Deonta Foreman's the lead or Chuba Hubbard's the lead, they don't use that option much in the passing game for 2 weeks in a row now, and it went sideways very quickly. Not that I expect things to go sideways very quickly for the Panthers against the Falcons, but that being said, how interested are you in picking up Hubbard? And then how concerned are you for Deonta Foreman? Because I've already made my case. I already think that Chuba Hubbard, if they get down, is going to be used in the passing game, and that Deonta Foreman's capped. But if they run away with this game, potentially, if things go better this week and all of a sudden Deonta Foreman gets 18 carries, I think he's going to have the better day. So concern for Foreman, and how interested are you in Hubbard?
I'm very interested in Hubbard, and I don't necessarily have a ton of concern for Deonta Foreman. And I'm going to lean in the same direction that you're going here. Is I think
I'm listening. Barkley decided now's the time.
Don't worry, we're like an animal zone right now. I'm dealing with my cat who's losing it, and he's got Barkley, so it's fine. So I'm leaning more towards the Deonta Foreman is going to be the kind of the ground and pound line of scrimmage back. I think Chuba Hubbard is going to be there more heavily involved in the passing game. This is just a weird situation going on with the Panthers, right? We don't really know how that tandem and how that duo is going to function moving forward. It's kind of a guessing game at this point. Granted, it's a little bit more educated guessing than it is just out of the blue, but still there are a lot of kinks to work out at the quarterback position, what they think. And I don't care if they're playing the Atlanta Falcons. I still don't have a ton of faith in any quarterback's arm when it comes to that team. So I'm still kind of relying on the run game there if I'm going to be a Panthers fan, or if I'm the Panthers coaching, I'm going to be relying on the ground game. So I think both will be involved, but I think in different roles. They'll have two completely different identities there.
Yeah, and so would you try to play the matchups with them going forward? Would you try to be like, I think they should be in this game, so I'm going to play Foreman? Or, like last week, I don't think anybody expected it to go that south that fast.
Well, I think one of the greatest things that we like, and especially on FTN Fantasy too, by the way, we have our fantasy points against. So when there is a duo that has a very specific identity to the line of scrimmage back, the ground and pound, the carry guy, the one that runs through everything, as opposed to the pass catching back, take a look at what defenses can do against running backs that pass catches that catch passes. And see what we can go, because I think that if Chuba Hubbard does solidify himself in that way, then yes, I would play Chuba Hubbard in a specific matchup against defenses that are weak against pass catching running backs. I don't have nearly as much faith in Chuba Hubbard right now as I do in what they've done with Deonta Foreman because of what we've seen over the last 2 weeks. So I still, the jury is still out for me on Chuba Hubbard. Do I think he'll be involved? Yes. I don't think that's going to be a huge knock against Deonta Foreman, but I want to see how that goes. And then, yes, I would play Chuba Hubbard on a matchup base against defenses that are weak against pass catching running backs.
Okay, so speaking yesterday, they talked on the Chiefs and want nothing to do with this backfield at all. But would you still be interested in trying to go pick up Isaiah Pacheco, who's out there in some leagues? Not very many after we got that announcement from Ian Rappaport that morning where it's like, hey, he's going to be a starter. And everybody went insane going to pick him up. And now we've seen this mess. So do you go, let me even phrase it this way. If Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets dropped in your league, are you interested in picking up any of the pieces in this backfield?
No. I mean, unless I'm super desperate and you're in a deep league and you need a warm body. I mean, that's my line. No, I'm not running over to the wire and scooping either of those two up.
I already said the only hope there is like maybe Pacheco in a blowout, but at this point, they should blow out some games, but there's been who expected Tennessee to hold their offense down the entire game.
I was surprised by that. I was surprised, but they really dominated the line of scrimmage there, and they confused Patrick Mahomes enough and took away Travis Kelce. So they adjusted though, like they always do.
So the wide receivers, we saw Kadarius Toney, and he got a few plays as promised by Andy Reid. Mecole Hardman now is a little bit of stretch going, and I've said this before. I have zero interest in Mecole Hardman. Stop chasing Mecole Hardman every single year. We did this last year when Mecole Hardman had a stretch of games where he had everybody's excited. Oh, yeah, and then Mecole Hardman. The problem why is because here's the issue that I have with Mecole Hardman, Lauren, is it's not just Kadarius Toney. It would be even without Kadarius Toney, I would still be having question marks about this because he's still fourth. It's Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and then Hardman and routes and opportunities. So yes, he's scored some touchdowns, but do you know his season high in receiving yards? It's 79. It's usable, but put it this way. I'm not saying don't pick him up. If you need wide receiver help, you can definitely play Mecole Hardman, but he's not even in my top 5 pickups at wide receiver this week.
Yeah, see, he's in my top 5 pickup for wide receiver. And the reason why is because he does have the upside potential. So he has out-targeted Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Patrick Mahomes is looking at him before he's looking at MVS. You can just tell when you see it on the field, and plus the numbers also show it too. So he's boom bust though. That doesn't mean that he's going to be constantly getting these downfield looks, right? It has to be in a pretty specific way. So I don't have a ton of faith in it, but I don't mind picking him up and using him as your big playability because he can get it done. But I don't think he's gonna. It's not a guarantee. If
you can only pick one, Kadarius Toney or Mecole Hardman's on the wire, would you pick up Toney or would you pick up Hardman?
I think you already know the answer to this, but I am not touching Kadarius Toney.
Would you pick up Kadarius Toney over Marquez Valdes-Scantling?
No, I wouldn't. Neither of those. If that's the only 2 Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers that are on the wire, I am overlooking them. Now watch MVS have a huge game, and Mecole Hardman does nothing. But a 3-game stretch is not, I don't think, fluky. And I know we've chased the points before, but as long as you go into that next week's matchup with knowing what Mecole Hardman is and understanding that he has serious bust potential, as in can goose you, then I think you can plan accordingly on your roster if he is someone you have to pick up. But if he is not available, I would not touch MVS and I would not touch Kadarius Toney. Now, maybe a few weeks from now, once Toney gets a little bit more involved, because that Kansas City Chiefs offense is not easy. The plays that they run, the plays that they call are complicated. So I think that he needs a little bit more time before he can get going, and then I'll be willing to entertain the Kadarius Toney situation. But as of now, no way. I'm going to go Mecole Hardman over those 2 any day.
I would go Toney over Hardman.
You love Kadarius Toney.
No, I just love the opportunity.
Man crush. Is he your new bae?
Is because he become the number 2, and that's just never going to happen for Hardman. That's my biggest issue. It's like you get choked up over there. I would actually pick up Kadarius Toney Well, I'm the one that's got the cold, so you can settle down over there. I would go with Kadarius Toney over. Do you have any interest in his former teammate, Darius Slayton, who people seem to have forgot before we hit the bye? 3 out of the 4 games, if you want to talk about chasing production, 3 out of his 4 games before the Giants bye, he was putting up double digits. Darius Slayton had been a thing since they've lost basically every other option in the receiving game.
Yeah, sorry about that. Water down the wrong pipe. Yeah, I would take. I actually like Wan'Dale Robinson. You know how much I love Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton. Those are 2 pieces that I do like, and I would much rather have either one of those over MVS and Kadarius Toney as of now. I mean, I'm kind of looking at the bye week situation as we're going. I don't trust Kadarius Toney yet, but I do like Darius Slayton and I do like Wan'Dale Robinson.
What are your feelings on Michael Gallup then? Who, Dak Prescott came back. Michael Gallup was taking some time to get healthy. Dak Prescott was finally healthy. But they haven't really connected much since he's been back. They have their bye that they're coming off of now to say, hey, maybe there's a glimmer of hope left. I actually think there's a glimmer of hope left because it's 2 things. It's Michael Gallup coming off an injury. He wasn't 100% to start the season. It takes some time. I mean, it takes some time for a lot of players. I would go back to Antonio Brown not starting to play on the football field until the midpoint of the season. And if everybody remembers that year with the Buccaneers, it took a couple weeks, and then he finally started to gain traction. And it was great for that month of December. But he was already on the field for weeks before that. So that's where I kind of say Michael Gallup, also coming off an injury, needs some time. Dak Prescott, some time to get on the same page. But here's the counter argument here is the Cowboys aren't the let's Dak Prescott throw 40 times a game because the defense stinks. So Michael Gallup versus the Giants guys versus the Chiefs guys. Where does Michael Gallup fall for you? I would take Michael Gallup over all of them except for Wan'Dale Robinson at this point.
I agree, but I don't like it. If that makes any sense. I know what's there and I know the potential that's there, but I feel like I'm going to get burned. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I've heard this story before. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me thrice, you're dead to me, kind of thing. That's where I'm at kind of right now with Michael Gallup. Like, I get so excited that I'm like, where'd you go? Michael, like, hey, how you doing? Like, ghosted. So I don't know. I understand that I should, and I likely would. I do have Michael Gallup still rostered, and I will hang on to him. I don't want to drop him yet. I need to see it, though. I need to see it. I don't like it, but yes, I would do the same. I bet I would. If I have to start him, I'd be like, roster.
So if I told you a wide receiver was 28th in team target percentage, which puts him 1 spot in front of T. Higgins. If I told you he was 33rd in team air yards percentage, which puts him 1 spot in front of Jalen Waddle. If I told you he runs 1.9 yards per route run, which ties him with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and if I told you he has 19 yards per reception, which is higher than Stephon Diggs, would you be interested in said wide receiver?
Considering that I know he has an excellent matchup this week, and probably only 13% rostered, I would still probably say no because I know who it is. But on the face value of it, yeah, you would want to take that guy. But
you would want Terrace Marshall, who
I've had in the waiver column.
I've had in the waiver column just about
crazy?
the entire. I've had him there for almost the entire year, and people are like, "Why am I stashing this guy?" Because they originally started out as in. So at the beginning of the year, I have the high-end backup of running backs. And then I always had the stash if something happens at wide receiver. Like Josh Palmer was there for a really long time. Terrace Marshall was there for a really long time. Like these wide receivers where if somebody gets hurt, they step up into a top 2 role. I've been on Terrace Marshall. I've been on Terrace Marshall coming out of college saying he's one of the better prospects. He was just very raw. He was very inconsistent in his routes. He needed refinement, both in his technique and his routes. It's happening, but it's the Carolina Panthers offense, which is part of the concern. Yeah. But you know what? I'm picking up Terrace Marshall over Mecole Hardman and Kadarius Toney.
Now that one I don't mind. If you are okay, because the potential is there, right? It is so there. Whereas I feel like he is less, this is so weird because I feel like he's less boom or bust than like Mecole Hardman, but yet he hasn't really done anything. He's dropped a lot of passes too, which has been kind of frustrating to watch in the end zone. But he's
been
right
a wide
there.
receiver,
so raw,
wide receiver 3 over the past 3 weeks.
Come on, man.
He's in the 30s the past 3 weeks. That doesn't do enough for you, even on the. I know, like that's with the Carolina Panthers offense being the Carolina Panthers offense.
Yeah, I do. I have absolutely no reason why I don't want to pick him up. I really don't. I really don't know why I don't love him. Like I should. I don't know. Like what's wrong with me?
It's the Carolina Panthers is what's wrong.
I think that's what it is.
So I'll sidebar here because they have an interesting conversation in the chat from Jiggle. So someone in his league, somebody is renting players for fab. So they're trading fab for players and then trading them back is what I'm assuming. It sounds like renting players. Sounds like you trade them back. It doesn't matter if it's for players. It doesn't matter if it's for fab. It doesn't matter if it's for anything. If you have two managers agree to make a trade and then trade said player back to get through buys, that is 100% the definition of collusion and should not happen. Not only should it be vetoed, they should be kicked out of the league. Done. You're not allowed to do that kind of crap. And I see this is we're having this. And here's the interesting thing is Ahmed brought up a really good point is if they make the trade and then the other team says, no, I'm not going to trade you back that player, does the commissioner enforce that you have to trade them back? And that's part of it too. Like no. This is 100% the definition. This is the only time you should ever veto is for collusion. This is the definition of when you can use that veto.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I didn't know if you had anything to add to it.
Spirit of teamwork. I see what you're trying to do there. No, that's cheating.
Okay. I just didn't know if you had a different take. I didn't know if you were going to agree or not.
I mean, I can understand, like, if these people are new to fantasy football and they're like, oh, here's a way to kind of get around the bye weeks. This works for me. It works for you. So in the spirit of trades of having it benefit both sides, I can see if someone is, and I use this term not rudely, but ignorant to what collusion is, then I could see how this would be like, oh, wait a minute.
Ignorant is you don't know any better. Stupid is you know better and still do it.
Well, yeah. So I'm just saying if someone is ignorant to the situation and they don't realize that this is not how it's supposed to, not really what you're supposed to use it for, then, I mean, I could understand this is a little slap on the wrist. Hey, guys, don't do this. No. But if they already know, these people sound like they are swindlers. It sounds like they are not going to pay out to the winner, or it sounds like they haven't even paid their dues in the first place. So those people, get them out. Get them out. You don't want that negativity in your life, Jiggles. You don't need that.
Actually, speaking of Jiggles and singing yesterday, I might have actually see it's Mario.
I was going to ask about your shirt.
So it's basically as Captain Jack Mario Sparrow or Captain Mario Sparrow. Like so. Anyway, yeah. I would have today, but definitely not feel. Maybe I'll just do it tomorrow.
I ditched t-shirts because I ran out of different t-shirts, and my husband will literally divorce me if I buy more t-shirts just for the show. So I went flannel. I went the flannel plaid. It's not actually flannel, but it's got the look to it. So, I
have 50 t-shirts around.
I decided my marriage was a little bit more important than like funny t-shirts for your show. I'm really sorry.
Do you have sidebar again on that topic? I don't have a problem with it, and Sleeper lets you do it. Some sites don't even let you. But do you have a problem with people including fab in trades as an option? Yeah.
No, I don't at all. And I think that to me, like whenever I find it so difficult that when you're trying to, mitigate a trade, right? When you're trying to figure out, okay, this, and this, and one person is just kind of right there, but they're really not quite sure if they want to do it.
Yeah, it gives
sometimes
you
just need
piece.
Just a little something sweet in the pot. You know what I'm saying? If you got a ton of fab and you either know you're not going to use it or you want to use that as just kind of like, okay, well, what if I give you $10 in fab or just something to help move the trade along? I say go for it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that whatsoever.
Okay. So we've talked Dotson and Burkes for weeks. Like they're going to come back, potentially have an impact, so might as well stash them, especially if IR spots. But
when is Dotson supposed to be back? I forgot to look at that.
He's as close as he keeps potentially getting back on the field. He could be.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what I thought. I just was having a brain moment there.
I wanted to ask you Dotson and Burkes versus these wide receivers to see, if you've been holding on to them, do you keep holding on? Again, assuming you don't have an IR spot, these are decisions some people have to make. Some people don't play with IR spots. Please do. I don't know how many times I have to say that. But anyway, so Dotson or Burkes versus these who are out there in a lot of leagues. Would you keep Dotson or Burkes, or would you go grab Alec Pierce after seeing how bad that Colts offense was last week?
I'm giving up on the Colts, and that breaks my heart. If you're in a keeper league, I would say hang on to Alec Pierce. Yeah. Oh God, I'm gonna go Dotson and Burkes over Alec Pierce, and that breaks me. Like I don't even want to talk about it for too long because I might cry. I love Alex Pierce.
Yeah, but Jeff Saturday might have some interesting high school plays he designed in the dirt. I mean, as you're dying on your throat again.
I'm curious to see what he's going to do. We can talk about that at another time, why I think that he was brought into this organization and why.
Oh, he's brought in 100% just to let this team tank. We can talk about it right now.
Maybe help fix the O-line a little bit so that next year, someone who actually has a prospect can come in and actually be a head coach.
It's
He's
the
sacrificial
stupidest.
lamb.
Hold on. It's the stupidest smart move ever because it's a win-win for Irsay. Because yes, he's stupid. Everybody's you're an idiot. Okay, but here's what happens. They tank and they don't win a single game the rest of the season. Good. They draft a new quarterback and they look to a new coach next year. Nobody thought this was a real thing when you heard the Jeff Saturday news. Nobody was sitting there and be like, "Oh my God, he's the coach of the future." The upside is if he surprises everybody and Jeff Saturday is some genius and he comes in and pulls a Mike McDaniel and fixes the entire team or a Brian Dable, and then guess what? You won, and now you just hire Jeff Saturday as your long-term coach while still also losing plenty. I think there's no doubt. As stupid as Irsay is, I don't think people are actually giving him credit for the slyness of this move because it's stupid, but there's no losing this situation.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And I don't think Jim Irsay is stupid. I think that this decision is weird on paper. It looks odd, but at the same time, I was mad that they overlooked the minority coaching opportunities there because we didn't have any other candidates. Trust me, there are other people. At the same time,
I know exactly.
Do you
what he's
really
doing.
want to have that on your resume? The absolute garbage dumpster fire that is the Indianapolis Colts right now. Do you want to have that on your resume that you took over as the interim head coach and then failed? No, give it to Saturday. Let him crash and burn, and then start over again. And don't let it tarnish your resume whatsoever. That's kind of the only silver lining that I got out of this. But no, I'm going to have to stay away from the Colts. And yes, I would take Dotson and Burkes over Alec Pierce to bring it back full circle.
And that's the thing, too, is if you promote it from within, that person's in a crap situation, and you might want to clean house anyway. But on top of it, too, is if you actually brought in a legitimate option and then they struggle with the rest of it, you're going to have the fan base be like, don't bring this guy back.
Don't bring him back. Exactly. You're tarnishing the possibility for a head coach. Yes.
It's sneakily, slyly smart. And
plus, he might help. They are so heavily invested in the offensive line. And what was Jeff Saturday? An O-lineman, 5-time Pro Bowler.
The only problem is that the entire press conference was worse. He just made it worse. Stop digging your own grave here. Just get it. I'm giving you credit.
I don't know why I'm here either. Peace.
I mean, that's pretty much. But with
I think this is weird too.
We like that he doesn't have the fear of the NFL, but he's got a ton of experience. But he doesn't. And we like how much experience he brings. What is it? That's the thing. That's how you know he has no idea what he's talking about.
Experience, but experience as a player.
Oh yeah, that 3 years in high school is really going to bring a lot.
Yeah,
to
but
his
he
team.
doesn't have any NFL coaching experience. But they like what experience he brings to the table as a player.
Or maybe an analyst. They just want to get the hell away from Rex Ryan.
But he's been a consultant for the team for quite some time.
Okay.
There's that.
So the Green Bay Packers are down another wide receiver. Romeo Doubs is out for probably, for all intents and purposes, the rest of the season at this point, especially because the Packers aren't making the playoffs. So he's pretty much done. So Sammy Watkins had his opportunities, but I don't know if you remember that one play where Sammy Watkins ran out there and then turned around and be and Rodgers threw it 10 yards left is because he was stopped and he thought he was going to. It's just Watkins is not the answer. No. We know Alan Lazard, as I said, I will victory lap that one. He was the answer the entire time. I said he was the answer, and everybody wanted to find another answer. But now that's what we're doing right now. We're looking for another answer. Is the another answer finally Christian Watson, or would you just keep Burkes or Dotson?
Dotson and Burkes. I'm not doing it.
Okay. Then how about Brandon Cooks, who might not play for the rest of the season? He might pull the AJ Green, did it before. Michael Thomas did it last year. And might pull, my wrist is really kind of hurting. He even admitted it wasn't even really a big injury, but it's I don't really, I'll just sit up. And he's not going to play for the rest of the year. And then Nico Collins comes back. So if Nico Collins comes back, interest in him as the number one with the Texans or Dotson or Burkes?
I'm going to take the upside of Dotson and Burkes here.
Okay.
I'm going to take the upside of them.
Okay.
Yep.
Then Zay Jones and his floor, who, by the way, tell me I'm crazy, but Zay Jones and Jarvis Landry are essentially the same player at this point.
Yeah, basically are.
Okay. So you would take the upside of Dotson or Burkes too, right? correct?
Yeah, I would. That one's a lot harder to make that snap decision, but I think I would. I still think I'm going to do that upside, but I don't. I want to see more of Heineke and Dotson because I do like the volume of Zay Jones. So that one's a tough one. But he's kind of waffling back and forth with Christian Kirk, which is very irritating. So yeah, I think I'll stick with Dotson.
Dotson and Burkes. Two more. Dotson and Burkes or Kadarius Toney. I know your answer. You want nothing to do with Kadarius Toney.
Dotson and Burkes, thank you.
Dotson and Burkes or Mecole Hardman. Last one. Yeah, this is your chance. You planted your flag for Mecole.
It was planting my flag for Mecole. Okay, right. I am gonna go out of those three. I like all three of them. Out of those three, I'm going to go Dotson, Mecole Hardman, Treylon Burks.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. I'm okay with that. All right. Last one for wide receivers before we talk some Warriors and running backs. There wasn't a lot of running backs. We kind of touched them already, but there's a few situations I want to touch on before we get out of here. Odell Beckham. So
yeah, right?
This is weird. So just last week, we had news, and it was like, Odell Beckham's not going to be back till the middle of December. And then all of a sudden, Jay Glazer on Sunday morning, Odell Beckham's going to be cleared this week. So I don't know if that's necessarily two different things, Lauren, because he might be cleared, but we might not see him even on a team playing a football game until mid-December because he hasn't played. He's got to get up to game speed. He's got to get with the team that he's going to sign with. So any interest in stashing Odell Beckham right now?
Yes. If you have the opportunity and you're okay on bye weeks and you have the room to stash OBJ, I would.
Would you stash him over Dotson Burkes? I would not. I am not going that far.
If you need someone to play, then I'm not going to do that.
Well, neither of them are playing right now.
Yeah, but I think I might.
Here's
but then
why.
again,
Here's why too.
He's coming out of injury. That's always so tough.
I know, and everybody's
I think I'll still go Dotson. Ooh,
everybody's connecting the Dallas Cowboys dots and saying, "Oh, contender," and I think Miami's a sleeper team. I said this to Pat this morning. I think that's the sleeper team that would be
terrible.
But that's the thing. He's going to contender. He's not going to sign with the Green Bay Packers. He's not going to go sign with the Giants, even though
he wants to go someplace he can call home. We ain't going anywhere cold. All right, people, just figure that. Just understand that right now. He's going to go someplace warm. All right.
I kind of hope he took the PEDs Hopkins took. It's just like comes back better than ever before.
Just like boom. Speaking of Mike McDaniel, did you hear in his press conference? I know I'm totally going off the rails here. There's a shot of him yelling at Justin Fields as Justin Fields ran by him after a scramble play, and Mike McDaniel's like, "Stop it!" So he was asked about it at the press conference. He's like, "Yeah, I had to yell at him and tell him to stop scrambling and stop running." And I just want everyone to know that he didn't listen. So for other coaches out there, you should try a different tactic because Justin Fields does not listen. He's not coachable. He did not listen to me tell him to stop. It was the funniest press conference answer I had ever seen. I had to record it. It was hilarious. I was like, I have a total newfound respect for Mike McDaniel now. You are funny. I was happy about that.
So he wasted our time. Is basically just like
it was fabulous. I laughed so hard. That was not a waste of time. It brought me utter joy.
Well, then let's real quickly talk about their backfield because 2 weeks ago, Montgomery and Khalil Herbert was like, oh, they're going to be kind of almost a 50-50 split. We can use both of them. And then just this past week, it went back to almost all David Montgomery. Is Khalil Herbert, I mean, he's still mostly owned. So, there's very few leagues he's out there and sitting on waivers. But at this point, so I'm going to say this is more of a hold situation. If you have Khalil Herbert, do you hold him because you know you're getting an RB1 if Montgomery goes down and never start him because of what just happened last week? Or do you just try to say, you know what, I'll get help elsewhere for my team. Let me see if the Montgomery person's going to overpay. Let me see if somebody's going to give me top 20 running back value and get rid of him because if you started him last week, you're ticked off.
I completely understand. And I wonder how much of his lack of use was because Justin Fields ran for 3,000 yards. So I think that was a weird game. I think that was a weird game all around. And I don't think that is going to be the norm moving forward. And my cat is destroying things. That's lovely. Thank you. And so I'm going to hang on to Khalil Herbert. both for what you said, but I still think he has standalone value. I just don't think that game of Justin Fields running as much as he did is going to be the norm for them moving forward. Could be. That's why I want to hang on to him, and that just stinks. So annoying. That is so annoying. So many reasons.
James Conner came back into the lead and made Eno Benjamin and Darrell Williams both irrelevant. Darrell Williams was pretty much irrelevant anyway. But Eno Benjamin, do you drop him for help or do you hold on because James Conner is such an injury risk at this point? Like, let's put it this way. Would you drop Eno Benjamin for Rachaad White? Would you drop Eno Benjamin for Chuba Hubbard? Would you drop him for Isaiah Pacheco?
I don't mind dropping Eno Benjamin for Chuba Hubbard because I believe that Chuba Hubbard will be involved in that offense once he's back. Other than that, I think I'm hanging on to Eno Benjamin because he's proven that he is a
not
solid.
For Rachaad White?
It's not enough. It's not enough for me.
It is for me. I think Rachaad White's more reliable.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I don't hate it personally. I don't think I would do that, but I don't mind that move. But for me personally, I would want to hang on to Eno if I can because just like you said, and I hate to use the injury prone. I don't like that tag, but there's a trend here, and they run him hard, and he runs hard. So I think I might hang on to Eno Benjamin too.
Okay, so if you were holding on to Latavius Murray, who now has a third option in that backfield coming out of the bye, it's now Latavius Murray, Melvin Gordon, and Chase Edmonds. Yeah, your boy Chase Edmonds is over.
I know this is going to be super weird. If he does well, I can take 0 credit. So
here are the 4 names that I would just get away from this backfield. I would just move on and not try to figure it out week to week because you know how I feel about these backfields. I don't really want anything to do with the Broncos or the Chiefs or the Colts without Jonathan Taylor or any of these backfields where there's 3 options involved and the ceiling's capped by all of them and it's a mess. And that includes the Broncos. I'm getting away. Unless... Unfortunately, we might find out this week. We got cut down to 2. Maybe one of them's even inactive. They make Latavius Murray inactive all of a sudden. Then, okay, well, we're forced into it. But as of today, so I would move on for Jaylen Warren in case he takes over for the Steelers. I would move on for Elijah Mitchell because if Christian McCaffrey gets hurt, Elijah Mitchell is back. And we know Elijah Mitchell has been a top 10 running back. I would move on for my boy, Isaiah Spiller, who's now backing up Austin Eckler. And here's where I might draw the line. I don't know if I move on for Kyron Williams because that's a backfield I kind of want nothing to do with either for the Rams. Although he might be the one that changes it, but I still want really nothing to do with the Rams backfield. Are you on with Latavius Murray versus those names? Do you hold Latavius Murray or do you drop Latavius for any of those?
I'm dropping Latavius Murray for them, especially the Elijah Mitchell one. I don't mind Elijah Mitchell being on there with Christian McCaffrey. He got some work, so I'm okay with that. I think that it's only going to get better because he's going to be used pretty creatively as well. So, yeah, I would move on from Latavius Murray. I don't think you have to hold on to him.
And what about Kyron Williams? You're not cutting him for Kyron Williams?
No, I'm no Kyron Williams for me.
No Rams backfield.
Nope.
Remember when Tyler Higbee was a thing? The only Rams player is Cooper Kupp. The end. End of story.
The end.
Done. Higbee was fun for a few weeks. Now he's not anymore.
Well, because Matthew Stafford can't throw the football. He's on his butt the entire time.
Well, it's kind of similar to the worry situation with this. 2, 3, maybe more worries before we get out of here. Najee Harris. Here's one. I gave another. This is not just eggs, Lauren. This is actually 2 because it's 3. And potentially, it's 2 eggs because it's not just potentially 5. If Najee Harris comes out of the bye and doesn't look better,
it's like twins.
It's an infinity duck. He's done.
Ooh.
Because here's where I drew the comparison for Pat on his show. I said, remember Antonio Gibson last year, and everybody was like, "Oh, Antonio Gibson needs 3 or 4 weeks. Let him get healthy." And Washington was like, "No, we'll give him the extra layoff from the bye, which is about 10 or 11 days," and he was great after that. That's all he needed. So there's a slim chance that this Liz Frank injury healed up a bit over the bye, and maybe we get a little bit better version of Najee Harris, but I'm skeptical. And if it's anything like we've seen so far, I think you could actually drop Najee Harris. Where are you on Najee?
I am terrified and annoyed and too scared to drop him because I do not have big enough cojones to do it. I'll just be honest.
How many worry ducks do you give him?
4.
4? So let me future time here. We're talking. This is the show for next week. We can come back and have this conversation. Week 11 waivers and worries. Najee Harris comes out of this game with 12 carries for 40 yards. That's it. That's all he has. would you drop him for Isaiah Spiller?
No.
Okay. Would you drop him for Jalen Warren? Would you drop him for Elijah Mitchell at that point?
God, I might, yeah.
Okay.
I might have to have a few cocktails in me before I do that.
And I
So
think
take the pain away.
the Jalen Warren thing, I think everybody's sitting out here, like, just Najee Harris looks so bad that it's a perception situation. They're like, there's no guarantee that Jalen Warren comes in as any better than Najee Harris is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. There's a lot of things that goes into a running back being successful. It's not just the talent of said running back. There's also offensive scheme, and there's also the big elephant in the room, which is full of holes, which is called the offensive line.
Would you drop Najee Harris with another bad game for Rachaad White?
That one I would definitely think about.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely think about that.
That's where he is. And one more
Yep,
game.
it is, and that's what's sad.
This is his make or break. This is the straw camel, whatever. I'm sick.
Straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes. Another worry before we get out of here. Gabe Davis. I gave 2. People are full on panic. The interesting thing, I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was Josh Norris or I forget. I saw it over the weekend. Somebody tweeted, or maybe it was Marcus Granite from NFL. Somebody said, no matter what your opinion of Gabriel Davis was this preseason, you are now correct. Because if you're the person who's like, there's no way you can trust Gabriel Davis every single week, he's overrated, you're correct. If you're somebody who's like, Gabe Davis can be a league winner and a top 20 wide receiver, you're correct. Because he's Deshaun Jackson. Like, this is what you were getting into with Gabe Davis, is this Deshaun Jackson, big game, little game, big game, little game. And I only gave him 2 ducks because of that, because that's who Gabriel Davis is.
Yep. I mean, yeah, I can't disagree at all, because it's just like you said, he's boom or bust. I mean, but he's on a really, really good offense with a really, really good quarterback. So we tend to have that faith in him that it's going to be more of a boom game than it is going to be a bust game. But like, if you told me Gabe Davis or Mecole Hardman, sorry, it's Gabe Davis. Like, there's not even a question. So yeah.
All right. Well, then the last one before we get out of here, and this is interesting. I actually have more worry for Deebo Samuel than I have Gabriel Davis, because 2 carries, 2 carries, 2 carries, 2 carries, 1 carry, Christian McCaffrey. The rushing upside of Deebo Samuel is pretty much gone. And if you look at the game logs versus Brandon Ayuk, it's been back and forth a little bit. It's almost like 2 years ago, the good Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore together. It's kind of like that, where one has a pretty good game, the other one has a great game, and then it kind of alternates back and forth. I gave Deebo Samuel 3 ducks because I just think that he's now a mid-level wide receiver too. Do I have him too low? Am I too crazy pushing him that far down?
I don't think so. Right now, that's exactly where he's at. Now, does he have the opportunity to, keep rising in the ranks, if you will? I think so. I think they're trying to figure their offense out with Christian McCaffrey, but that's exactly where he is right now, which is another sad one. Why are we talking about these depressing things?
Because we're talking about words before we get out of here. Because I'm sick. I want to talk about depressing things.
I know. Misery loves company. Look at what Jake is making me do.
Exactly. I got to go lie down with this knife in the side of my temple. And it's wonderful. So we'll be back tomorrow to walk through. There, I just made it a thing. To walk through Week 10 rankings and talk about them too, possibly. What am I supposed to tell you? Code all in, 20% off at FTN, and follow Stepmom Lauren and Chris Meady. Maybe back tomorrow, maybe more Lauren. We'll see. You have to tune in. And if I'm alive, we'll see you then.
I'll be in the middle of a hurricane. Yay.